put the backing plate on. Sure the bolt heads are aligned and one of them is not. There we go. Now, backing plate on. I think we're ready to get the hub on too. It's all greased up and then it's just a matter of getting the outer bearings and races greased as well. All right, we greased everything up before, or after we put in the grease seal and everything, so all that is ready to go. We can put this side on. And voila! Brake drum in place. Kind of looks like a car now, doesn't it? All right, while we're here, let's go ahead and put the front end on. Got our front bearing, outer bearing. We're just gonna release it. As you can tell, there's some play going on inside, and it's beginning to drive Mama crazy. So we'll just go ahead and silence all of the craziness and put on some pretty music while I go ahead and goop this up. Okay. Slides right on. And it centers up our front hub. After that comes a washer. So we'll put some extra grease on. That fits into a key on the hub. That's in there. And now, we'll clean up our hands. And on goes the net. Really big wrench. Cotter pin there. And look, it rolls. Sounds very good, very smooth. Satisfaction. All right, let's do this again from the other side and y'all can see a little bit more the front installation. All right, pre-greased bearing, washer, and nut. All right. So now that the rear axle is on, we can commence to getting the rear backing plate and drums on. So this one, you can see I've installed the emergency brake levers. There's one that goes up and down here, and then the one that goes across. And they're linked by a little nub here. Now, I did not see this written down anywhere, so pay attention to this little bit of knowledge for those of you that are rebuilding these classic brakes. Remember all the difficulty we had getting the spring on to the shoes? Well, when you do that, pay attention to the direction that your hook is going. See how this hook is going over the top and under, and this one is coming from underneath and hooking back through? Well, this is the proper orientation for the rear brakes. Front brakes, it doesn't matter. The rear brakes, you need to make sure that this rear shoe, the hook is coming under and hooking back through. Otherwise, the spring is going to interfere with this mechanism. So, 50, 50, 90, not knowing any different, we did one of them correct. And the other one, not correct. See, this is the back side where it's gonna hook into, and we've got the spring coming over the top. So this is gonna need to be removed and reversed. So I need Diggy's big bear paws and my little monkey thumbs again. Great. Okay, now that we have our spring corrected, notice that the spring bar is going back underneath the shoe and hooking back through on the back side. We are going to now adjust these holes where the emergency brake pins pass through because they're not quite big enough for the pins. So we're just gonna ream them out a little bit with a drill. And I've created a little makeshift chipping collector here so that I can collect as much of the little metal shavings as possible to keep them out of the brakes. And now the rear one. Now when drilling metal like this, you don't want it to be on a super high speed because sometimes you can work hard in the metal by going too fast with the drill. So nice, smooth, and easy. It's not super thick and I'm not cutting a lot, so I'm not using more than the residual grease that's already on there, the cutting fluid. There we go. So now that all that alteration is done, we can put our short pin. We've got the long pin and the short pin. Long pin goes in the back, short pin goes in the front. Go ahead and put that in. Using coordinated finger dexterity. This probably could be assembled. I don't know how you'd assemble all of this ahead of time without the springs being in place, but you know, it's working. See, there it is, not so hard. Okay, now the crossbar, there's a cutout here, coved area, and that lays over the spring. Oh, what a cruel joke. Okay, we can do it again. Now I did put a little bit of lithium grease on this just to pre-lubricate any metal. All right, so that there, and temporarily we're gonna put one of these horseshoe clips in there, but it doesn't stay in, or it seems like it's on there way too loose. So I have ordered some E-clips to put on this one because that's just gonna work itself for you. But in the meantime, we can use it because once this side goes on, it's pretty well locked together. So with this one, we're also gonna put a little bit of lithium grease on here where there's contact with the other piece. Up here. And then the same thing will lubricate the back of this. Now on this one goes a washer. Now we can use a pair of pliers to get it up underneath. And into position. Which I should do off camera, but I think y'all will enjoy the struggle. Ooh, almost. There we go. Okay, and it's in. Now, for this side, we need to get the bottom of this into its clip first. And of course, we're going to lubricate that. Use our finger to smear that down. Let me get that on. Just slide that in there. Holding the back so we don't push it back out the back side. There's that. Oh, it's a coordinated effort here. So let's take that back off. Make sure we get this knob on the back into the slot of the cross lever. And then work it onto the pin. go ahead and lock that on up there, and we'll take care of getting it behind the clip in a second. So you have this spring washer that goes on first for the horseshoe clip. And this actually works pretty well. So you get the horseshoe clip underneath there into the slot. And the spring clip provides pressure to keep it on. Oh, my fingers. Not good for this. There we go. Okay, so that's on. Now let's work on getting this underneath its clip. There we go. Voila. All right, so that's the emergency brake installed. So now to get the emergency brake cable, you get, it's the same one cable goes to both brakes, and there's an equalizer mechanism in the center. So basically hook up both sides the same by feeding the ball end with spring all the way through the pipe that's here. Push the spring up, bring your lever forward and lock it in place. Then feed your spring through, and there's a special little retainer clip looks like this that then goes onto your cable, and that keeps the spring from going back through. And then you can just pull your cable. So once you get all the rest of it adjusted out, the cable will get pulled, and that will take out that slack. And then the rubber boot here on the end fits over the end of the pipe on the backing plate. And your e-brake cable is installed. All right, now it's time for the other grease catcher, grease shield, and radius arm to go on the passenger side. Again, flat side up, and pre-place the upper two bolts before you try and install. All right. Make sure that these stay aligned. Nice smooth motions. My thumb is feeling for any rotation of the bolt head. It doesn't. Those are on snug. Bolt heads are still aligned. Yep. Now let's do the bottom check. Oh Lord, let these bolts go on now that the other side was a little more there. Hallelujah, there we go. Okay. 1. And 2. All right. All right. Let's see if this will just fit itself on and. All right, so we've got that. So let's go ahead and use a bolt to pull it on the rest of the way. Okay, all right, they're on. Now the final bit is to put the drum on. We've already pre-lubricated the bearing in there. Now you can see here that there's this slack in the parking brake cable because we need to compress the spring by pulling the cable forward, and it'll take the slack out. So I'm going to put this on to demonstrate, but know that it's going to be coming back off when I am prepared to fix the parking brake. First though, we're going to take off the tape from when we blasted the drum and protected that braking surface that Mr. Jim was so nice to mill down for us, you know, to resurface the drum itself. Alrighty. Okay. All right, now, back here, what aligns, or what keeps the wheel rotating with the axle, is this woodruff key, which fits into this slot. And remember before, we did an inspection of the axle slot here to make sure that there were no cracks. So, take the nut, washer, and gasket off. You see inside there, if you can see inside there, there is a keyway for the woodruff key inside. Here we go. You should be able to feel it notch in place. There we go. And just a little bit of resistance. All right. Yeehaw. Now we can put, just for demonstration's sake, put our gasket. Now that sinks in to that recess. The washer will press it in the rest of the way. When we tighten up the nut, it will press the gasket in, and that's going to keep any of that axle grease from coming out here. Okay, and then this will be cotter pinned through to keep that from backing off. And there we have all 4 drums in place. All right, moving on to start the drivetrain.